We're going to keep. I think this hand is pretty good. Not going to go turn 1 Glinthawk. Because I want to go turn 2 Boros Garrison. Which is unfortunate, but the fact that Glinthawk can return the Prophetic Prism, I think, is perfectly fine. So, that works out. Alright, looks like we're up against Elves. Elves is a decent matchup for sure. I don't think it's particularly amazing by any stretch. I don't think it's particularly bad. Definitely going to kill this Priest. Nothing else, okay. That's not bad. So what we'll do is we'll play the Prism first. Leave up a red, just for no reason. Okay. Drew a Mountain. So next turn I can either go both Core Skyfishers or I can go Kuldotha. Probably going to want to kill that if I can. He's going to get a token anyway. Game 1 is definitely not in your favor for reasons like this. You don't really have much in the way of stopping them from just going balls to the wall at you, except for the Electrickery in the main, which I'm not drawing, but that's of course fine. So I think what we'll do is I could sack the Ancient Den to make these Core Skyfishers better, but I don't think that that's wise. So what I'm going to do here is sack the Prophetic Prism. I think that's just slightly better. And then I'm going to kill this by sacking a dude. And pass the turn. My opponent has another one in his hand. That sucks. But no other creatures, which is interesting. Ooh, a Galvanic Blast. Unfortunately, I don't have multiple ways of... I mean, I don't have 3 artifacts in play, so he is going to get value off of it. And then we'll go ahead and play this Core Skyfisher, returning the Mountain. And we will pass the turn. Could attack for 2 here, I suppose, but I want to block. So, that is something to consider. Elvish Mystic, he gets another token. Okay, nothing I can really do about that. Alright. That's pretty good. Okay, so we'll play the Radiant Fountain and gain 2 life. It's okay if he knows I have the Mountain in my hand. I have to tap specifically white creatures, right? Yep. Okay. So I can definitely outrace him in the air. That is definitely something I can do. So hopefully I'll be able to. I'm going to attack for 2 here. I think I'm definitely on the racing plan, especially if I draw a Rally the Peasants. Every single point of damage matters. So that is something to keep in mind. Hopefully my opponent does not draw a blue source anytime soon. Probably have a couple of distant melodies in hand or 1. Okay, so that's really good. So now I'm going to... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to attack for 8 in the air. I'm at no worry of dying here, as where my opponent is actually dead next turn. I should not have... Wow, that was an accident. I actually should not have played that mountain because now I cannot return the Radiant Fountain and play it. I think. I don't think it matters actually, but... We'll play the Core Skyfisher. Tap the Radiant Fountain for mana. Bounce it back. Play Journey to Nowhere. And take the Lizalana Huntmaster. Pass the turn. We're going to leave up the Galvanic Blast just in case, but I don't think I'm going to need it. One thing I should say is, main deck, if they have an early Well-Wisher, you have to kill it. I guess he probably suspects I have a Bolt of some sort in my hand. You do have to kill it because you cannot race... you effectively cannot race a Well-Wisher. You know, I mean, you can, but the longer the game goes, the more it favors elves because of the critical mass. So bring in the Angelic Purge and the Electricity. Now, one problem that could arise here is Scattershot Archer, so you do have to keep that in mind. As far as cards that are not good against elves, well, here's the problem. All of your cards really are good against elves. But I think a card that you can shave here is a Thraben Inspector. I think that Glinthawk is just better, and I think that Thraben Inspector is kind of weak. And then for the Angelic Purge, can probably take out... Could even take out a Kuldotha Rebirth if I really wanted to. I think that's fine. I don't want to bring in Core Sanctifiers, because if they don't actually have Spider Silk armor, then there isn't really a point in bringing it in. And Angelic Purge can take care of it. The other problem is there isn't really anything else to take out for the Core Sanctifiers. So, I think we'll just leave it the way it is, and we'll see what we draw. I think this hand's fine. It has 3 removal spells in it, and 2 Cycle Lands, in case we need to draw. Opponent's on a mulligan to 5, so that's good for me. See how that goes. No 1-drop. That's even better. So I'm going to go Windscar Crag, so that I can possibly go turn to Radiant Fountain. Ooh, opponent kept a bad 1-land hand. Alright, well, I'll start the beats. I don't mind missing a land drop here since all of my spells cost 1 anyway. Probably going to play this Forgotten Cave next turn if I don't draw an untapped red source, so we'll see what happens. Birchlaw Rangers. Okay. Alright. This is one of the problems you run into with Kuldotha Rebirth or cards like Glinthawk in your deck. You don't run into them normally. Normally I do have a lot of artifacts on the board, so this is kind of rare, but my opponent's also in kind of a bad draw, so it kind of just, you know, defeats the purpose of itself. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. We're going to play Forgotten Cave, and we're going to attack for 2 and pass the turn. Okay, opponent played Elvish Mystic. Drawing pretty well here, so we're just going to play this out, and we're going to Galvanic Blast, since it's the weakest blast in my hand. And we'll attack for 2. And I'm pretty sure this game is over now, since next turn I'm going to make 4 dudes, and I have 2 more removal spells. Well, I shouldn't say this game's over. My opponent did draw a second land, so... Now, of course, Skyfish is great. Do this. Make some more dudes. Pass the turn. If I draw a Rally of the Peasants, I do in fact win, though, so that is something to keep in mind. Ooh. Okay, well... My opponent had to keep the hand they did. They did mulligan to 5, so... Game is, in fact, over. And 2-0 with this deck. I think even if my opponent didn't mulligan to 5, I'm going to return that just to gain 2 life. I don't really want to cycle any lands. You really want this deck to get to 5 to 7 lands so you can play as many spells in a row as you can. The other thing is Flashback Lightning Firebolt is a thing that I would like to do heavily, so, you know. So my opponent hasn't made a play or done anything in the last, I think, like 5 or 6 minutes, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I'm pretty sure we win this game. Even if my opponent didn't mulligan to 5, I think my draw was very good for the fact that I started off with 3 removal spells, I drew into another one, I drew into 2 more, rather it was slow. But I also drew a Battle Screech. Excuse me. I was gaining a bit of life. I could have drawn cards if I wanted to. I think that, except for the Kuldotha Rebirth, this draw was pretty exact as you wanted, unless you drew like double Electricity. But yeah, typically Elves Game 1 is not a great matchup. It can be if you draw a ton of removal. Game 2 and 3 is not heavily in your favor, but it does go a bit in your favor because of Electricity, because of all the removal and such. So, I'll be back, and we'll see if my opponent comes back. Okay, I don't know what happened there. My opponent did not... It didn't tell me that my opponent disconnected. I guess my opponent decided to make me wait 9 minutes until either they had an emergency or truly just wanted me to wait 9 minutes. And, conceded the game. Hold on a second. So what do I think of this deck? I think it's amazing. I think that this deck is incredibly good for the Pauper metagame. If you want to play right now, I think it's a great deck to play control against the aggro decks. I think it has a lot of card advantage to play against. I'm sorry, control. Did I say control against the aggro decks? Well, I'm saying it now. To play control against the aggro decks, it has a lot of card advantage to play aggro against the control decks. It has the combo-like finish of Rally the Peasants and Battle Screech and Kuldotha Rebirth. It has a bunch of removal spells, very good creatures, a bunch of ways to draw cards, ways to gain life, a very good accessible sideboard with Gorilla Shaman, Standard Bearer, Cop Red, Pyroblast, all the things you need. So, what's the verdict? Would I recommend it? I would highly recommend it. If you really enjoy Pauper, if you want to start winning in Pauper, I think this is definitely one of the best decks you can be winning with. I think this is definitely one of the best decks you can be playing with. I think this is one of the best decks that will teach you a lot about Pauper. As far as anything else to discuss, I don't exactly know how to beat this deck too well, except just, play better than it. I mean, I know this deck is not unbeatable. I think it's very good. But yeah, so that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This should actually be coming out the same day that the Pauper Community Challenge is going to be done. If you guys want to know what the Pauper Community Challenge is, head on over to twitch.tv/Pauper Community Challenge. I will have a Reddit post and a website already made by the time this goes up. So yeah, there will be a lot of information. The event starts at about 7:45 to 7:55 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/Pauper Community Challenge. So I hope to see you guys there. And I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Arctic Pauper Show, and I will see you later.